It was not very surprising that the Indiana Fever went down to the Minnesota Lynx, but this game ended up getting quite physical with some elbows to the face.
Fans were left stunned by what they witnessed. Lexi Hull delivered a shot so dirty it had everyone furious, and it unfolded right after the drama involving Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham. Indiana Fever supporters are fed up, players remain confused, and the league, as always, stays silent. So, let's break down exactly what happened last night.
On hold there, but then that is a technical.
That is a technical. Dead ball, contact.
Do you believe the WNBA is truly protecting Caitlin Clark and her teammates, or are they simply being left hanging? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's set the stage, because this wasn't just another tough game. This was Minnesota versus Indiana, and it felt less like basketball and more like a fight night special. Fans were already on edge, knowing the Fever's season has been hanging by a thread. Caitlin Clark has taken her share of hits, and the team still can't seem to find a rhythm. Add Sophie Cunningham's reputation for stirring the pot, and you could sense something wild was brewing. But no one expected Lexi Hull to be the one catching an elbow square to the face.
On hold there, but then that is a technical.
That is a technical. Dead ball, contact.
The play looked bad in real time, but the replays made it even worse. You could clearly see Aaliyah Boston's expression, that oh no reaction that told you just how brutal it was. And let's be honest, this wasn't some innocent oops my bad accident. That elbow from Kayla McBride looked flat out intentional. Fans online immediately called it out, saying it was yet another example of the Fever getting mauled while referees and league officials stood by doing nothing. And when I say fans were angry, I mean they were flooding Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram, calling it nothing short of an assault in broad daylight.
Stop complaining about the officiating. There was a whistle here, a whistle there for every little thing. But I have to say, there were some elbows to the face that just were quite uncalled for, and it created kind of a contentious situation between the two teams. First, it was Napheesa Collier who elbowed Natasha Howard in the face, who fell flat on the floor. You could tell she was very upset, walked up to the referee, arguing with him, Napheesa Collier that is. And just a few minutes later, at an attempt to grab a rebound, Lexi Hull went up, Kayla McBride went up, and Kayla McBride, I don't know if she was just frustrated or something, but she ended up throwing an elbow. So right here you see Lexi going for the ball. She does kind of reach in right there. Oh, it obviously looks like Kayla McBride is frustrated. Lexi falls to the ground. Look at Aaliyah Boston's reaction. Completely shocked.
Now, before anyone rushes to defend the league or brush it off as just physical basketball, let's be honest about something. This isn't the first time Indiana players have been targeted this season. Caitlin Clark has been knocked down repeatedly, Sophie Cunningham has been in the middle of constant dust-ups, and now Lexi Hull gets blasted. At what point do we stop pretending these are simple basketball plays and admit there's a bigger problem? From where I'm sitting, the WNBA is starting to look like an organization with no control over its players and no real interest in protecting its stars. Think about it, Caitlin Clark is supposed to be the face of the league, right? She's the one selling out arenas, boosting TV ratings, and dragging the WNBA into mainstream sports conversations. But what's the reward for that? Opponents throwing cheap shots, referees swallowing their whistles, and the commissioner acting like it's none of her business. Kathy Engelbert has been completely invisible while the most marketable player in decades gets smacked around as if it's open season, and now it's not just Caitlin anymore. Her teammates like Lexi Hull are catching strays. Let's rewind to how the game actually unfolded. Minnesota came out swinging, literally and figuratively. Napheesa Collier poured in more than 30 points and looked unstoppable. Kelsey Mitchell tried to keep Indiana alive with 26 of her own, but when you're missing Caitlin Clark and your point guard situation is basically a revolving door of whoever's available that night, you're not winning much. The Fever looked outmatched, out-hustled, and by the time the elbow to Hull landed, it felt like the breaking point, and here's where the sarcasm comes in, because apparently Indiana players have mastered one skill: standing around looking shocked. Lexi takes an elbow, she goes down, and her teammates just stare like someone ruined their dinner.
Doesn't go, and now it's McBride getting pulled.
Are you
Aaliyah Boston, what the f?
Where's the fight? Where's the pushback? Where's one teammate stepping up and saying, "Not today"? Instead, you get silence. Maybe a few hands on hips. That's it. It's almost like the Fever have been trained never to react, and honestly, it makes sense. Because every time someone does react, think Sophie Cunningham trying to get physical, they are painted as the villain, while the aggressors walk away like nothing happened, so now the conversation has shifted. This isn't just about Lexi Hull's injury or Indiana losing another game, it's about the culture of the WNBA. Why does this keep happening? Why are the stars getting targeted? And why does the league seem more interested in posting TikTok dances than addressing player safety? Because let's be real, if this were the NBA, can you imagine the outrage? If Steph Curry or Luka Doncic took an elbow like that, the league office would have released 3 statements, fined half the roster and suspended refs before the final buzzer. But in the WNBA? Silence. Business as usual, and Indiana has been here before. A few weeks back, Caitlin Clark was hip-checked, shoved, and knocked around. Sophie Cunningham was dragged just for playing with an edge. And now Hull gets assaulted. At some point, fans are asking the obvious question, where's the protection? If the referees won't step in and the league won't speak up, then it falls on teammates. Yet the Fever look like they'd rather write a polite email than defend each other. It's embarrassing. Aaliyah Boston is supposed to be the anchor, the enforcer, the tone setter. Instead, she's giving the shocked face meme. That might work on Instagram, but it doesn't cut it on the court. Indiana looks soft, and that's exactly why teams like Minnesota, Chicago, and Phoenix feel free to throw elbows. There's zero fear of retaliation. To be fair, this isn't all on the players. Coaching matters too. And let's be honest, the Fever staff has been clueless in these moments. You rarely see fire from the sidelines. Compare that to NBA coaches who would storm the court, get ejected, and make it crystal clear, my players aren't alone out here. Indiana's bench, meanwhile, looks like they're waiting for a dinner reservation, but let's circle back. Hull's elbow wasn't just one dirty play, it was a symbol of how far Indiana has fallen. They're clinging to 8th place, losing players left and right. Even if Caitlin Clark comes back, is it worth the risk? Do you throw her into a league that treats her like a punching bag just to maybe sneak into the playoffs and get bounced in round 1? Fans are divided. Some say Clark needs the experience, every game matters. Others argue she should sit out because the league won't protect her. After watching what happened to Hull, I lean towards safety. No sense risking Clark's career for a league that refuses to step in, and don't forget, this isn't just about one team. It's about the WNBA's image. You can't claim to be growing the game while your stars are getting assaulted on national TV. Who wants to tune in if Clark, Hull, and Cunningham spend more time on the floor than on their feet? That's not basketball. That's a circus. And right now, the WNBA isn't funny, it's pathetic. Now let's talk about Kayla McBride. She's not some rookie or benchwarmer, she's a veteran. She knows the line between physical and dirty, and she crossed it. That elbow wasn't defense, it was frustration, a message. And the fact that she walked away without consequence tells you everything about how broken the system is. I can already hear the excuses. It's just part of the game. Hull needs to toughen up. Indiana should stop crying. But that's loser talk. Tough defense is what makes the game exciting. Cheap shots make fans question why they're watching. And right now, the WNBA has way too much of the latter, so here we are. Another Indiana player assaulted, another loss, another silent response from the league. Rinse and repeat. Fans are fed up, and I don't blame them. Maybe the Fever squeeze out one more win, but this season feels like a disaster. Unless someone in that locker room finds a backbone, it's only getting uglier, and here's the kicker, the double standard. When Clark so much as breathes near a defender, she gets whistled. When Sophie bumps someone, she's branded the villain. But when McBride throws a UFC-level elbow, crickets. Nothing from refs, nothing from the league office, and commentators nervously laugh it off like nothing happened. It's favoritism, plain and simple, and let's not forget the teammates. The Fever stood around watching Hull get smashed like they were waiting for the replay. Weak. Nobody's asking for a brawl, but at least act like you care. Step in. Shove someone back. Draw a line. Instead, Indiana looks like bystanders. And when nobody pushes back, guess what? Opponents keep testing you. Love her or hate her, Sophie Cunningham is the one Fever player who actually shows fire. She won't take garbage. She'll fight. That's what leadership looks like. That's what having your teammates' backs means. Right now, Sophie feels like a one-woman army while the rest of the roster checks out. The bigger issue? This culture hurts Indiana's future. Clark entered the league with sky-high expectations, but she's already endured a season of cheap shots. Hull's injured, Sophie's vilified. What happens if Clark decides this isn't worth it? If the WNBA keeps allowing stars to be targeted, what's stopping the next college phenom from thinking twice about going pro? And through it all, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert stays silent. Her inaction is almost impressive at this point. Fans aren't stupid. They see the favoritism, the inaction, the silence. And they're done with it. Bottom line, Hull's elbow wasn't just one ugly play, it was a snapshot of the Fever's entire season. Weak responses, no accountability, stars left vulnerable and opponents emboldened. Until Indiana toughens up or the WNBA decides to actually protect its players, expect more elbows, more cheap shots, and more silence. Because if there's one thing the WNBA has mastered, it's pretending nothing happened. So there it is, another night, another Fever player down, and still no answers. Fans are over it. And honestly, they should be. But I'll throw it back to you. Should the Fever toughen up, or is this all on the WNBA for doing nothing? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more.